So, plan for tonight is to build off of what we were doing last week. Last week we learned some React really quick to rebuild our to-do app, mostly as a way to learn React using our to-do app experience from the week before. So this week we're going to build off of that, and we are going to use some other hooks and use some APIs. So first place we're going to go is GitHub to this repo called public APIs to find ourselves an API to use. I already did a bit of searching over the weekend, and I found one that I would like to use. I've also used it before, but it's been 3 or 4 years since I've used this. And that one is openbrewerydb.org. Yeah, so the reason I chose this one is actually because I think it does a fairly good job of giving us a fairly small API to work with, but not too small. I looked at like a random cat one, and that just gave us a file, and that was it to work with. I wanted a little bit more to work with than that. The other thing that's really nice about this is that it has decent documentation. So we should be able to get a good understanding of what to expect before we get to the point of actually expecting data. Yeah. And then we'll be building it also in React again, just so that we get more comfortable with React. Paste this tab over here as well. So we were looking at hooks before. This time I wanted to look at, well here, first I'm going to, this is the API we're going to be using, and then the hook we're going to need to use is use effect, I believe. Cleaning up. Let's do some Googling. We want React hook and fetch. Fetch is how we're going to be fetching our data. So let's see. Okay, for cookies. Use state, that's for state. Okay, yep. Use effect is the one I want. Cool. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's create a new React app. Let that spin up. Right. Close our preview here. We are good on the left-hand side here. So I'm going to close that out, and I'm going to focus on our app. So, OpenBreweryDB, let's take a look here. Our documentation, we can list breweries. So if we make a request to api.openbrewerydb.org/breweries, we get back, it's like an array, JSON objects. Each JSON object, it looks like, has an ID, name, brewery type, bunch of address information, latitude and longitude even, phone number, website URL, and when it was last updated. Guessing this is when the DB was last updated. Let's see over here, we also have some other information. We can search by city, either with an underscore representing a space or URL encoded, so %20 representing a space. By name, same situation. By state, by postal code, by type, micro, large, bar, etc. Page. So if we want to, let's see, return each call. Okay, so by default is only returning 20 per page. Max is 50. So we can use this page. This is a query param here. Everything after the question mark. So key equals value. So that is saying that we can start at, like, say we would do default 20. If we put page, I guess 0, offset. So yeah, so if our offset is 0, we'll get the first 20, 1 through 21, or 1 through 20. If we put page is equal to 1, we should get back 21 through 40. If page is equal to 2, we should get back 41 through 60. Looks like we can also sort by one or more fields. Plus and minus default is ascending, the minus. And so state equals Ohio in their example, and sorting by type and name here in this example. This one is sorting by just name, both descending. Let's see what else. We can get an individual brewery. So same URL as before, but slash and then the ID of the brewery. Okay, we can search for breweries. So if we do brewery slash search, and then we have a query param query equals, we can search for breweries with this term in them. We get autocomplete, return a list of names and IDs of breweries based on a search term. So if we wanted to have some type of search that as the user typed, we can bring up a list of breweries that match that search more real time. The search brewery sounds like it's more of a, you type it in and then hit search, whereas autocomplete is designed to be more used like as you're typing, maybe 2-3 seconds after your last type, last key press. Yeah, so I think the first thing is let's just list out some breweries. So come back here, we have our app. Let's give it a new title. Call it Brewery Finder. Sounds like a good one. We don't need this H2 in here. Let's see. We need to have some state, so we'll be using use state. Hook. We'll have that. We'll have, let's see, breweries and set breweries equals use state. And that is initially just an empty array. We don't have any. And then we want to have just an unordered list for now. Okay, so escape into some JavaScript here. We want to take our breweries, to map over them. Brewery. And then we're going to have this return list item. We know we need a key, and we know we have a brewery.id that is unique. Let's see. What information would we like to display? Just start out with name. That's pretty simple. Brewery.name. Cool. So then we get to get into the new stuff. So we want to use effect. The reason we want to use effect is because this lets us do things that are effectful. They kind of like communicate with the outside world, basically, is the way I like to describe it. Could think of use effect like doing anything with the current time, or trying to talk to something outside of your app. Anything that is communicating to the external world. So we use this with use effect. It takes a callback and then some dependencies. So ourselves a callback, and breweries is going to be our dependencies, because this is what it's modifying essentially. So in here, so first things first, I want this to be asynchronous. Typically everything here is happening in a synchronous manner, which means it's happening in order. First this line runs, then this line runs, then this line or set of lines run in order. However, this function will kind of run asynchronous. We don't know when it's going to run necessarily afterwards. It's just sometime afterwards it's going to run. And we're going to say const response equals await, which is why we need that async, so we can say await. I'm going to fetch, and I need to copy and paste that URL. So what we're doing here, so it does not like that being asynchronous like that. It wants me to wrap it yet again. Oh, and it wants this here to be an empty array. Okay. So let's see, I'm going to paste that. Copy this out. Paste that in there. So it wants all this wrapped many times over. All right. What don't you like there? Async function. Unexpected token. I am not seeing. There we go. I think that is what I wanted. Yep. I accidentally deleted the name fetch data. Okay, so we've got a function. Function. Don't need to make that an arrow function. Okay, so we got our outer function here that we're passing to use effect. This has an asynchronous function called fetch data. We're gonna rename this to fetch breweries. Sounds like a better name. Yeah. So we have our async function so that we can call it wait. So what this is saying here is normally we like response is equal to, well, we don't know yet. We have to await for this fetch to go do its thing. This fetch is going to go out to this URL here, this URI, and it's going to go retrieve some data for us. And then when it retrieves the data, everything on the left side of this await gets to run, and we get a response back. Then we say const data is equal to await response dot JSON. So the response isn't the data itself, it's just what the fetch is saying back to us. Then we have to actually get the data out of it. We have to get this information out of it. So that is what this await response.json does. So then we actually have our data. So then we can say, where's my set breweries to data. Cool. And then let's open up our preview. Hey, there we go. We have our list of breweries in our brewery finder. Awesome. Okay. What else? Okay, so we have that information. Maybe let's style this up a little bit, make it look a little bit nicer. We'll open our styles. Text align center. Let's see, I want display flex and flex dash direction column. Cool. And it's align items center, I think. There we go. I like that a bit better. So now our breweries are a little bit more aligned. I like the names aligned a little bit better. That works out a little bit nicer. Okay. So then, if we want to see, too, just so we can see it, console. Okay. I will do this. I'm going to right-click here. I'm going to say Inspect Element. And I want to, what tab do I want? Click here because I'm not much room. I want the network tab. So I'm going to refresh this. I'm going to click XHR because this is about requests. And I want, let's see, all our requests are 200, which is okay. They're all gets. Can I make this domain wider? There we go. This is the one I want. API brewery / breweries. So this is the request we actually made, so we can actually take a look at it. This is our headers information that we sent. You can see we didn't send anything with the request, but we got a response back. So we can actually take a look at the response. So say you didn't know what you wanted here, but you just knew, you didn't know that what the ID was or name or anything like that, but you just knew this URL. You could hit it, and then you can look at your response, and you can see that we have our ID. So this first one is ID 2, Avondale Brewing Co. is the name. It is a microbrewery. We got an address here, postal code, phone number, all kinds of information. And it's nice and formatted, so we can collapse each of these. We can collapse the whole response. You can actually see that the response is actually, it's really a long string, but look, headers. So we can see in the response headers that content type. So this is telling us our response is JSON. That's the important part right there, basically, is that our response is JSON, which then tells the browser, hey, you can parse this into JSON. So it does that for us. So fun things we can do this. So website URL. Or actually here, we'll do it this way. Close out the inspector there so we have some room to work with. Say we want to be able to click on each of these and like view more details about them. We can say, typically I'd probably be doing some navigating like / brewery ID up there. Kind of stick away from that for a moment. It's a little bit more work that I would like to focus on at this moment, but we could get there eventually. Selected brewery, set selected equals use state, and I'm going to pass in null initially. Let's hide that for now. Okay, so we can have a selected brewery. So here I can say can ask if selected brewery is equal to null. If it does equal null, then I want to return my list. If it is not null, then we'll say, not sure how I want to display this yet. Let's put ourselves a div right here, and we'll say selected brewery.name. Cool. So we have a way to display it, but we need a way to select it. So let's come in here, let's add a button for clicking. If you were doing more navigation, this would probably be an A tag for a link. Got my little slash. On click is equal to function, and we want to, when we click one, call set selected brewery, and we want to pass in this brewery right here. Okay, let's see, that should work. Page load up, we got buttons now. So if I click on Mudshark, you can now see that says, hey, we selected Mudshark. So, Mudshark. So we could say, what do we want to know? You might want to know the city. So we could say, located in selected brewery dot city. Okay, let's give ourselves class equals selected dash brewery. Yeah. So that way we can make this look a little bit nicer. Copy some of this styling for now. Oh, that's why. Class name. I always forget that one. React, it's class name, and HTML, it's class. 1912. Display flex. You should be, what if we do, put an H4 around you. Span, there we go. That helped. The H4, put them each as separate elements instead of the same string. So we got 1912 Brewing located in Tucson. I believe we have phone. Span, we'll say phone number. Yeah, we'll just say phone. Selected brewery.phone. Close our span. Cool, we got their phone number now. Doesn't look super fancy, but hey, it's in there. And then website URL. This is the one I want to bring up. So this we can say an A tag. We can say, I know, we'll do it this way. So we're going to turn this title up here into a link. We're going to put an A tag around, an A element around the title, and you get an attribute of href equals escape, and we'll say selected brewery.website URL. So now, let's see, Avondale Brewing. Now we can click this. I'm going to right click, open link in new tab. Takes us to their website. Or if we click in here, let's see what it will. It might not, because it's inside this little preview area. But we need a way to go back as well. make it cheap. Let's see. Back. And we'll say on click. Function. And set selected brewery to null. Semicolon in the wrong place. So now if we click back, it takes us back to our list. Okay. Cool. So now let's see, what else can we do? Well, this is only the first 20. This is the first 20 items. So if we want to add more, probably add a button at the bottom. We could say, is that what we do? Let's do a search first. I like that idea better. Let's do a search first. If there's any suggestions anyone has for features we should add, by the way, I am all ears. All ears. All right, so we will say const search term, set search term, use state. Search term is initially an empty string. Did not mean to delete that. And then we will need to, at some point, we'll get to that. We'll get to how we're going to search. So our search term, I want this up at the top. Say I only want it in the case where we're at the main screen. So I'm going to wrap these here. So those little ones where it's just a little greater than, less than signs, and then with a slash, those are a fragment. That lets us return multiple things instead of just a single thing in React. They are specific to React, they are not part of HTML. Type. If search is a type. Let's see, go to MDN, input. So we got bunches of different types. We can have submit types, text, number, file, date, button. Let's see if search is one, if we get anything from that. Button, checkbox, color. It's like a color picker. I don't know. I don't think you can actually see that. That pops up a color picker. We have a date input. What else do we have? You can't see that one either. Oh, interesting. That pops up a date input. Date, time, local, email. That's pretty nice if you need email input. File, you can click this and it opens up a file selector for you. Image, month, number, password, radio buttons. Got some range. Reset the contents of the form. The default value is not recommended. Hey, there we go. Single line text field for entering the search strings. Line breaks are automatically removed from the input value. May include a delete icon in supporting browsers that can be used to clear the field. Displays a search icon instead of the enter key on some devices with dynamic keypads. Alright, so that is what we wanted. Cool. So search. And then placeholder, find a brewery, cool. And then on change function event, because we get an event on every change, and we want to say set search term event dot target dot value. Type in our search in there. So we have that. What else do we need then? We need a way to actually execute the search. I'll wrap these two in a div. These two, what I'm about to add. So I'm going to add in a button here. So we call it search. On click, we want to have a function, and we need to do search. Okay. Let's try just doing our search right here. Make our function async. We'll say const response. Spelling right. Equals await fetch. Our search. Copy our search URL here. And then response was a const data equals await response.json, and then we will say set breweries to data. Cool. Now, did anybody see that I accidentally left dog in here? So if I leave that in there, all of our search terms, I can type in cat, but it's going to search for dog, which is not what we want. So a couple ways we can do this. We can get rid of dog, and we can say plus search term. That's one way. Another way we can do this is we can use something called template strings. So instead of the double quotes, we use a backtick. All the way over here, backtick there. I'm going to delete that. And then inside of the two backticks here, in our template literal, template string, you can say $, and then squiggly braces, which kind of escapes us into writing JavaScript. And then we can just say search term. So that will just add our search term there. So now we search for cat. We now get breweries with cat in the name. Wonder why Kansas City Territory Brewing Rock. How do these have cat in them? I am very curious. Maybe it will tell us. I don't know. Oh. All right. So we got our search term. I think I would like. I'll leave that. When you search, it'll leave the search term up here. So if I search for dog, search stays there. Clears it out when I come back, which is all good. All fine and dandy. Oh, actually no, I would like it to be there. So I need to set value equal to search term. There we go. So now when it reloads, there we go, I can type in house. Hit search. I want to go to Danny Boy Beer Works. Go back. We still have house because that's what we were searching for. Cool. Let's see what else. Well, we would like to get our. Well, we can get our original one just by refreshing. Wow. So let's see what time is it. 35. Okay. Let's see if we can pull off this autocomplete. I think this would be pretty fun, so that as we're typing, it is searching. So, let's say with a drop down. So let's see. Let's go out searching for a drop down to use with our React code. Let's see, React. Drop down. Just see what we get here. Yeah, drop down. Open this one in tab. NPM. NPM, you will find a lot of nice nice packages of other people's code on NPM. Simple drop-down component for React, inspired by React Select. Demo is available here. Let's see the demo. Inspired usage, tells us how to use it. Simple example, options. Okay, it does. Let's try React Select. That name sounds familiar. GitHub. So it has this on GitHub, React Select. Alright, so what do you have? Async, creatable, fixed options. Can we type? Looks like we can type and it will filter it out. Okay, let's see if we can use this one. So I'm gonna go close this out, go back to the GitHub, scroll down here. So we want React-Select. If we were not using Code Sandbox, this would be one of the ways to add it. However, we can come in here, we can say, let's see, which one is it that I want? Add dependency, here we go. So that was in our file explorer, under dependencies. You can see we're depending on React, React DOM, React scripts. We want to add one. We want React-Select. Yeah, we'll just take the latest one, so we don't need to worry about that. Now you can see it's a dependency here. You know, your package.json, you can also see it's dependency here. Cool. Shrink that down. All right, so number 4, we need to import. What does this want to look like? Let's go back here. Import select from React Select. No, I'll just copy and paste that. Reduces the chances of me mistyping it. Okay. So we're going to need some options, it looks like, which is an array of JSON, where the JSON has a key of value and a label. So I'm going to guess this is the actual value, like ID type value, and then this is what we're displaying to the user. Alright, and we put it in, we say select, we give it a value, which is our selected option. On change is some handler to update things, and our list of options. Here's how to use it with hooks. Okay, so you know what? Just gonna copy this. Come in here. We will say let's comment all of that out for a second. We'll have fun adding in a new one. We'll see which one we like better. We'll paste this in, save so it formats it. It's going to say, hey, we don't have a selected option. It's fine, we'll come back here, copy and paste this, copy, scroll up, comment under search term, selected option, set selected option, cool. Need some options. So we'll say const, we'll say we'll say brewery autocomplete options. Brewery autocomplete options. Just an empty array for right now, just so we can get things rendering. Paste that in. There we go. That looks very narrow. That doesn't look any good. Let's see. Autofocus, class name. It's just like multiple is disabled, is searchable. Generates an HTML input with this name contain the current value. Okay, on change, options, placeholder. No options message. Text to display when there are no options. Value. Let's try a class name. Let's just see where we can get from there. So class name is equal to autocomplete-search. styles. Say width. Oh, yeah, say flex colon 1. See if that. Refresh no. Can comment that out. So on a width 100%. Trying to think of what. Yeah, we'll go with it for now. It's not great, but it's at least better. We'll come back to the styling. Okay. Actually, here, we'll do width. I'll make a guess, 40 rem. Much too wide. 20. I like that width. Cool. We'll stick with 20 right now. Okay, no options. So, on change. Right now we're setting the selected option. I want to say function, new option. Cut that out. Okay, so paste that back in. We'll still set that to selected option as our new option. Cool. But I also would like to, let's see, which hook do we want? I know kind of what I want. I want as the user types to wait a moment till after they've stopped typing, and then do the search and add and update things. So I think that's use effect. Close some extra tabs there. So I would like React. Actually, no, let's say use effect and debounce is what I'm searching for. So debounce is basically saying like, hey, use debounce. Let's see if this does this. See if it's easy to understand. Debounce is saying to like, if the user's typing, basically let them type, and then if they've stopped typing for some amount of time, then we'll actually do whatever it is you need to do. So what do we got here? Hook allows you to debounce any fast-changing value. Debounce value will only reflect the latest value when the use debounce hook has not been called for the specified period of time. When used in conjunction with use effect, as we do in the recipe below, can easily ensure that the expensive operations like API calls are not executed too frequently. Yep, that's exactly what we want. Example below allows you to search the Marvel Comic API and use debounce to prevent API calls from being fired on every keystroke. Exactly what we're looking for. Okay, so use debounce. Where are they getting use debounce from? Aha, here's their debounce. So let's copy this. Come all the way down here, just like they did. Follow their lead. Lots of white space, but saving kind of cleans it up. All right, use debounce, and then they said to use it. So a search term and a delay. Okay, so we'll come back in here. Shrink this down for a moment so we have some room to work with. Okay, so debounced search term And let's leave that there. We'll leave our search term. We'll wait 500 milliseconds, so about half a second after the last key press. What else we got here? Then they are making their call. So debounce search term, so they're only calling this use effect when this is changed. So if there's a debounce search term, so it's not an empty string, they set is searching true, which we don't have that yet. Search characters then. So we can set search results. So we want to turn this, say blueberry, autocomplete options, set autocomplete options equal to use state empty array. So their set results is our set brewery autocomplete options. All right, so when we have a search term, we're going to do what we did before. Async function, do search. That's not how you spell search. Do search. Copy and paste this in here. Save, format it, auto format. So const response equals, oh wait, fetch. Don't remember the URL offhand, but we'll be fetching something. Fetching our data, and then we're going to give back some data is equal to response dot JSON, and then we can say set our results to that data. Okay, so autocomplete. Okay, that's our URL. Okay, but we're not always searching for dog. Use the backticks, and then $, squiggly brackets, and we want the debounced search term. Cool. Alright, so I'll get rid of that. I'll leave this set is searching to true in case we want to bring that in. Could be fun. Nice little comment there. Okay, so I'm kind of curious here. Console log new option. I want to see my end there. I want to see when that actually updates. So, because I don't think it's updating when I want it to necessarily. Problems. Set search term is assigned. Use, that's fine. Alright, so console. Ooh. I don't know where I'm doing that, but okay. Okay, so as I type here, nope. Maybe this is not the select we want. On change. Value. I think this is not the one we want. Let's search for React searchable drop down. Let's try that. So here, React select search. Cool. Yeah. Accessible. That's always nice to see. Async options, that's what we want. One optional dependency required for built-in fuzzy search. Live demo. Async. Favorite drink. Apple. GUIC. Apple car. See, it does a little search there as I'm typing, a little spinny. So this looks like exactly what we want. All right, so React select search is what we want, I guess. Okay, let's go change some stuff up. So we don't want this anymore. We want this one. We're going to come in here. Don't want React select. We remove that. We want React select search. Yep. Close that out. Options, still name and value. You can give it a type of group now. For some items, you can group things. Let's take the options, value, name, placeholder, headless mode with hooks, value multi. Search. We have to set true to enable search functionality. Okay, autocomplete. Let's fuse. What? Where is? I'm gonna come back over here. Let's see story. What does this tell us? Search. Search was true. Get options. Query. Okay, so we want something like this. So search. Let's see, select search. Come down here. You know, I don't think, strangely enough, I don't think we need this anymore. No. Which is okay. It's always fun to delete code, actually, I think. Deleting code is the best. I mean, there's less stuff you have to worry about later. Alright, so select search. Comment these out for a moment. We want to search. We want that enabled, so we can just put that in. Defaults to true, I believe, if I remember right. We want our options. Brewery autocomplete options. Cool. Get options. This is what we want. Get options. What does this look like? So it's a function that gets a query. Function that gets a query. And then it returns a promise, which is kind of like our async await stuff. Get options. Where is that? I'm curious in here. It says anything in here. Get options. Here we go. Get options through a function call can return a promise for async usage. See get options for more. You can fetch options asynchronously with the get options property. You can either return options directly or through a promise. Okay, okay. I think I get this. So let's try this. Let's see. Say our initial options, it's just going to be an empty array. Our get options, I want to be an asynchronous function. Say const response is equal to fetch. I need to copy and paste this over again. We don't want dog. We want to use this query. I'm going to say const data we'll call it new options, is equal to response.json, and then we're going to return our new options. So that should, I think, do it. Let's test it out. Problems. Yeah, I don't care about those problems. Shrink this down. That looks weird. Okay, what else do we need? Why does that look so weird? Are they doing some custom styles? I bet you. In order to get that look, search the page. You also need some CSS to make it look right. Example theme can be found in styles.css. To utilize the example theme, you need to check if your build script manipulates class names, CSS modules. Let's see. What is going on here? So many other things we're learning right now. Let's see if we can find these. Okay, I'm gonna do some guessing here. So I'm gonna say import. I'm gonna try and find the similar style thing, but from this React. Say /style.css. Nope. Wait a second, let's look on their GitHub here. I have their GitHub open from before. Dist /ESM. Lib. Nope, no style. No, CJS. I don't think it's gonna be in here either. Nope. Source. Lib. Components. Where did they put that? It's right at the top, style.css. Why can I not? Let's see. Or let's do this. This will probably be faster. Let's come in here. I'm going to say raw. Control A, Control C to select all that. And we're just going to come into our styles. Comment, we'll say React, select, search. These styles all belong to that. Paste it, save it. We can get rid of that line. There we go. Okay, so why can I not type in there? Okay. Let's see here. Options, get options, search and placeholder. Let's see. Set a placeholder R, see if that helps. Placeholder is find a. Okay. So that is there. Why can I not? Options. Search. Let's see. Let's look back at NPM, see if we can find anything here. What are we doing wrong? Value. We control more than styling. Hooks to pass data to your own components and build it yourself. Disabled. Mode options. Search. Oh. What the heck? Search. How did that? I don't know. Hey, but there we go. Dog. Now, let's see here. We can do our little debounce in here. So, do a simple debounce. We'll say, let's see. Since we don't need, we can get rid of some of these. Selected option, search term. Yep. Don't need those. Don't need all of those. So, const. No, we should be fine. Let's see if there's anything about debouncing. Debounce. Nope. Delay. Nope. Okay. Well, you could probably use some state to set up some debouncing. We can try it real quick. Say const debounce d equals set timeout. Set timeout. You pass it a function, first argument, and then some time in milliseconds is the second argument. And it will that was weird. It will call that function after that amount of time. Sync, but this is gonna get a little weird at the end here. We're gonna do it anyways. Return new from yes, which gets a function, which gets resolve, and it also gets reject. Okay, so we're returning that. Highlight all this and use Alt in the up arrow to move that up, and then so we have all of that in there. I want to do set timeout with a debounce ID, and I'm going to say set debounce actually we'll call this one new debounce ID. I say, but Wolfgang, we don't have a set debounce ID function, but we're gonna create it. So come up here, const debounce ID, and set debounce ID use state, initially null. Cool. Come back down here. Before setting this new one, we're going to say if debounce d is equal to null, Then we are going to say clear timeout. We're going to pass it that ID, so that will get rid of this timeout, the existing one, and then we create a new one. And then also we want to say this clear timeout. Well, actually here, set the new one before we return our. Well, we're not going to be returning. We're going to be resolve. We resolve there. This resolve that's up here. Helps if I spell it correctly. Then we'll set our debounce ID back to null. So, come in here, we get a query, we're going to return a new promise, which is some delayed thing. We were promising to do it later. Oh, hello, seeker of the, I don't know if I saw that in time or if you're already, no. Seeker of the rings. How are you doing this evening? Anyways, so come in here, we return a new promise. We're going to promise to call this function at a later point in time, which is what getOptions wants. Do that, we come in here, we can say if we have a debounce ID is not equal to null. So if we have an existing debounce ID, we want to clear it out. We're going to create a new one with a set timeout, and we'll set it. Inside of our set timeout, we're going to wait 500 milliseconds, or about half a second, exactly half a second, at which point we will then make our query here, and then we will get the options, and then we will resolve those options. So we're going to resolve this saying, hey, I promised you this, here it is. We're resolving the promise. Reject is if something goes wrong, you can reject the promise, which we could do with a try. So we want to try to do all of that, but if we were to catch an error, we would reject our promise with that error. We can pass that error. So then, yeah, so after 500 milliseconds, we fetch for autocomplete, we await the JSON for our new options, we resolve it, that will update. So, all of that said, so let's type in dog, and oh, nothing happens. Something broke. Let's see, inspect element. We want network, and under network, we want XHR. Let's see, dog. Hey, we made our request. What didn't it like? Response. So we got a bunch of responses. I don't know how many we got, but we got a bunch. 15? Yep, because they count from 0, so 15. So, did not like that resolve, I don't think. Fetch. JSON resolve. Oh, you know what? We need to format our response. That's what we need to do. Dot map. What do we get it as? We get ID and name, but they want value and name. So search result. We get a function that gives us our search results. We want to return new object where the value is search result.id and the name is search result.name. Okay, let's see if that works. So dog. It still does not like it. Well, maybe we'll come back to that one later. Maybe we'll we'll get rid of our debounce for now. Get rid of, let's see, everything up to there. We'll comment that out. Comment that out. Sync. Really does not like that. Okay, async. Oh, pardon me. Comment that out, and instead of view, return, comment that out, comment that out, comment that out. We'll just comment out all kinds of stuff. Very interesting. I do not know why it has stopped displaying our results. You know what? I will leave that for you to figure out if you want to. Yeah. So that was kind of a crash course in just making fetch requests. This is just for getting data. Whole other topic with sending data. This fetch function, just show it here, called fetch. The first argument is some URL or path, and after that you can pass some options. There are things like method. By default this is get, which is what we're using here. Fetch. So there's method. There's this other thing. So these are this .then is promises stuff. You'll see that often. It's basically give or take the same as async await. Here you can see they're using await inside of an async function. So yeah, here we go. So you can pass in a method. By default, they show default little asterisk here is get. There's also things like post, put, delete, options, header, a few more. There's a mode. I'm not going to go into cores, which is cross-origin resource sharing. That is a whole can of worms to get into. Could spend a whole day on that, maybe two, not just an hour. Cache. Don't mess with that unless you really need to know what you're doing. Credentials, probably don't need to mess with this one unless you know what you need. Headers. This one I kind of mentioned before. This is how we knew we were getting JSON, or how the server knows we're sending JSON. Redirect, you don't really need to get into for policy. Body. This is the other one. So this, you send some string data. Here you tell it what type of data to expect. In this case, it's going to be stringified JSON. That's typically used with a post or a put, sometimes other methods as well, and that is sending data. Yeah. So yeah, that is basically, if you need an example, that is how you would send data to a server. They have some other examples of things you can do in here. You can see that they do their fetch, and then they say .then. Immediately afterwards, no semicolon, just a .then. This gets a function with a response, and they call response.json, and then they can say .then after that. They get their data. They put a .catch on the end. This is kind of like a try catch. This catches your errors. Same ideas. So yeah, a bunch of stuff about uploading files. Yeah.